Welcome to our log cabin in the woods. In this episode, we are working on the master bathroom, and we are trying to fix the problems with the siding on the back of the house. Okay, this is Saturday, May the 3rd, and we got a late start getting out here. We didn't get out here till about 1:30, and I spent the last hour or two mudding and taping the drywall section here in the kitchen, but that's basically about all that's gotten done. So we had the first coat of mud on in the tape, and I need to let that dry before I put the subsequent coats on. And Paul has cleaned up his saw, vacuumed out the sawdust, and that's about all that we've gotten done so far. Okay, this is May the 18th, and this is the master bathroom shower that we're working on right now. And Hannah came out yesterday, and she and Sarah and I worked on this along with a couple other tasks, but we're using Go board in the shower, and we've got that board going all the way up to the settlement space up there. And Sarah and I are working on this side today. And this time the Go board is going out all the way to the door, out the edge of the door. So we've got a couple of different kinds of fasteners here because this part right here is the pocket door. So there's not any studs there, but there are little boards, horizontal boards going across like this. So like right here, we've got washers behind the screws so that they don't go too far into the board, because that board's only not quite an inch thick. And so the 1 5/8 inch screws hang out too far, about by ½ an inch. So we can't use those there. So we're using those. We'll see how those work when we get to the tiling and the mudding and taping and stuff, or just the sealing. We're not mudding and taping, we're sealing. So we've got, this side has got the sealer on it. Those are the white splotches on there, so it seals the two pieces together and then covers the screw heads. So we have to do that on this side yet. Over there is sealer between the boards, like, let's see, I'm hanging on my sunglasses here, like right in here. That's the sealer that's oozed out. We'll put more sealer on that, but put a bead of sealer on that before I add boards on top. And then there'll be a bead of sealer that'll go here in the corner. It'll go from the bottom all the way to the top. And I'll do that when I get all of the Go board up. So I still have a piece that needs to go up here, and that'll be about 24 inches, and that'll go up to the door, and then we'll figure what we need to do from there. And then we need to do this side, which is where all the plumbing is. So it's coming along. Okay, we got all the Go board up. I don't have all the sealant on, but it is up. So there is the back side, and put it all the way up to the door that leads to the master bedroom, and all the way up to the settlement space. And then here's the wall that Hannah did yesterday, and that one she did seal, but I kind of ran out of time. And then here's the plumbing wall. So it is all up. All the way to the settlement space up there. So I'm gonna have to reconfigure for tile, because I wasn't planning on putting tile all the way up to the top, but looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do. And I wasn't planning on going all the way out to the door, but it looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do for that wall too. So, okay, this is May the 20th, and I spent the day putting the sealer on the seams and the screws of the master bath shower. So that is all done. And I put some seam tape on all the seams except this one here, because Hannah did a good job on that and I don't see a need to redo that. But I did it in the corners and on these two horizontal seams over here. So you're supposed to be able to tile right over that, so that'll be good. And the plumber came in, the plumber electrician, and he added some extra lighting. So got a bulb up there and then one here over the tub. And we do have our tub, and we talked to him about placement of the faucets and the shower head for that, which is a handheld sprayer basically. So we got that, and he's going to come in tomorrow and finish this up. So I got the plumbing up to it. It's hot and cold right there. So the faucet and stuff are going to go over here on this corner. And we did make a trip to Lowe's again today. This is third day in a row. And I had to get more sealant for the go board, and Paul needed more fasteners for the log siding. He's still working on that. That's still a problem. The boards started actually falling off. Instead of just sliding, they just actually started falling off. The fasteners were not holding it, so he's been working on that. So I'm going to give this a rest for a while. I did look for some tile samples. I picked a couple up at Lowe's for the shower. And one thing we have to do is we have to figure out a vanity for here. We need to find a vanity to go here, and maybe a cupboard for storage for towels and stuff. We do have a space back here that I was planning on putting some shelving up for storage. Don't know yet what we're going to do, but we're having trouble finding a vanity that we like in a rustic style. But we need to get up here. We'll be hanging some fixtures, light fixtures, pendant fixtures for the vanity, since we can't drill in through the logs at this point. So things to do yet. And I never did get around to painting this drywall section, but I think that's going to wait until tomorrow. It's after 5 o'clock already today, and we've been out here since 10, so we're all pretty tired, and Paul's finishing up downstairs. So yeah, Sarah's pretty tired too. She's sitting over here. Sophie's tired. Sarah's tired. Sarah's snacking on chips. Let's go downstairs and see what Paul's doing. Okay, this is the section Paul's working on. I'll get back a little further. And the problem he's coming across is the boards aren't fitting together very well. There's gaps between them, so he's whittling on this piece over here. I found out that the tongue was deeper on one end and shallow on the other. So he's shaving the wood around the tongue to kind of get them even, so maybe they won't be all gapped in the middle. Like here. There's that gap. See, there's a gap. I can fit my finger in there, and it shouldn't gap like that. So it's happening kind of in the center of every row. He's working on that. Okay, this is Thursday. It's the 22nd of May, and just wanted to show you a little bit of what we've been doing this week. The plumber came in Tuesday and Wednesday, and he worked on a couple of things. One of the things he did was he installed the faucets for the tub. And let me get around here so you can see them a little bit better. And so we have the spout and the handles, and then this tall thing here is a sprayer. So that'll make it easier to wash out the tub. And let me get through here and I'll show you more of the bathroom. Okay, there's the tub. It's a whirlpool tub, so we've got jets in there. I think there's 6. It's 5 feet long, but it looks really narrow. So we had a corner jetted tub at the farmhouse years ago that we really liked, but we thought it would take up too much space in here. This space here between, this is the back of the shower wall, and there's the tub. That space up here is going to be shelving for towels and that kind of thing. And we'll probably put a cabinet at the bottom for paper supplies. And then here is the shower here. I haven't done anything additional to that. I've been debating about this bottom where the shower tray is. We set the go board in the way it was recommended, but you know, that leaves that gap, and so we're trying to figure out how to even that up for the tiles. So if I put in little strips of go board in there, I'm going to have to slice it to take the backing off so that it'll fit. So that's one thing I haven't seen anybody do. They either butt it all the way down to the rim of the shower, and then they have to fur out their studs to get everything level, which we didn't want to do, so we thought we'd do it this way. But that's something, we're not ready to tile yet, so we're going to think about that for a while before we come up with something. So, and then down here at the very bottom, we still have to come up with trim, decide if we're going to trim that with wood or if we're going to tile that. So if we tile that, then we need to put a piece of backer board in there, which shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, so that's that corner, and then this corner is the same. We need to do something right there. More go board, I imagine. But the majority of the work is done with the go board. That's all done. It's just Paul wanted that to go all the way up to the settlement space, so a lot more tile than what I planned on, but oh well, that's the way it goes. So I had some tile picked out, but then Paul wants some different tile around the tub surround, but until we get that surround finished, like it needs to be framed out here on this end here. And I could probably take a guess as to how much tile we need for that. But he picked out something really nice, but it doesn't match what I had planned for the shower, so I'm going to need to change the shower tile. And I haven't found anything I like yet, so that'll wait. Another thing we need is to decide on a vanity that will go over on this side where that piece of gold board is, and we just want a single sink, and I think we're going to do a 48-inch vanity top. We were thinking about 60, but that would kind of crowd things over here by the toilet, so we need to leave room somewhere for like a trash can and that kind of thing, so, and a hamper. So we can't fill everything up with fixtures. We gotta have room, floor space for trash can and hamper. So, okay, and then we gotta figure out a mirror and a pendant light. We thought we'd do a pendant light up here, and the plumber electrician said just let him know when we decide and get the fixture, and he will install it for us. So he's working with us. He's being very patient because we're kind of making decisions as we go. And then this is the master closet. So we're on the back side of the shower. So this is the back side of the go board. And these marks here is where I'm going to cut out for a shelf in the shower. So it's about a 12, it'll be a 12-inch high shelf in their niche. And so I've got it marked for 14 inches so that we have room for framing in there. We may make it a little bit bigger actually, because the framing will go, we'll need to put a 2x4 here. So I'm only allowed for an inch here, so that would have to come down. The board will sit here, so it'll be a little bit bigger, but whatever I cut out here will just be whatever gets, let me get this in. When I punch this out, when I saw this out, it'll just come back this direction and fasten to the framing we put in there. And then I need to put go board on the sides and the top and the bottom of that frame and seal that, and then that will be ready for tiling. And then the rest of the closet, this is the living room wall. This one is the washer and dryer, the laundry room wall, the bathroom wall. So that all needs to be finished yet too, but we need to work on this next and then worry about what we're going to do inside the closet. So let me show you what else we've been working on this week. Okay, this is the front bedroom. So we've got all of the tongue and groove on the walls. This is the wall that goes up against the bathroom, hall bathroom. So we've got that all the way up to the settlement space. We've got the door opening area here, that's all done. And then we've got the closet done. We did that this week. And Sarah and I worked on this side, and then Paul came in and he and I did the rest. We did the top part and this side here. And we finished up in here. And then Hannah had done most of this wall herself, except for probably the first 2 boards I put in myself, and then Paul did around the outlets, and then Hannah did the rest all the way up to the door, top of the door, and then Paul and I did the rest up there. So we got that done. So we're making progress, it's just slow. And I'll show you what else Paul's been working on this week. It's outside. Okay, we're back outside. This is the walkout wall. And Paul has been trying to get all of these tongue and groove oak siding, log siding boards to work. And after 4 days of working on this, I think he's finally decided it's not going to work. We're going to have to come up with something else. So I think Daryl, the builder, is supposed to come out at some point. We don't know when, probably late this summer. And he said they'd redo this, but I mean, they've done it twice and it failed both times, so I don't know what to do. And Paul has put these screws here. He's face screwed the boards to get them to stay, but then we have these problems with all of these gaps, which we can fill with caulk, but it shouldn't be this way. So I think this is a product that just failed. We are actually considering just ripping it all down and going with stone facing on this. So that's a big waste of money, but if it's not going to work, it's not going to work, and we'll have to do something else anyway. So anyway, it was a big disappointment. It was a big waste of time, big waste of money, but it's not working. So got to go to plan B.
Thank
Thank you for watching this episode. We hope you'll join us next time as we continue building our log cabin in the woods.